So, I heard I stole from my father. I did not. Though it looked like that. Okay, so I was seeing a therapist when I was pregnant with my daughter. And at the time, I was still under the age of 26, so I was under my father's insurance, which was Blue Cross Blue Shield. For anyone who knows what Blue Cross Blue Shield does, they will pay a part of your bill, and then they'll send you a check for the remainder, whatever they didn't pay, and you're supposed to give that to the doctor. I was the only one receiving any medical care at the time. So when those checks started coming in, I knew exactly what they were for. I would start asking him to help me pay because she was threatening to stop seeing me for lack of payment. And he would continue to promise, I'm going to pay it, I'm going to pay it, I'm going to pay it. And he didn't. So I started taking the checks to pay it because that was really important to me. One of my stipulations for visitation for my son was to maintain mental health care. So I took those checks and I paid the doctor. There was one check that wasn't for me. Excuse me. I did steal that one. I can say I stole it. And I bought my daughter her items that she needed. I was nesting. So I took that to get all the things that I needed to prepare for my baby. Now, I come back. I come to him because there's a limit. So once that stopped coming in, I didn't say anything until the following year when they started coming in again. And this time I told him the truth, let him know that I took them the year before. He was very upset with me. He said that there were days that he couldn't get parking and shit like that, but the money was never for him. When you go into certain doctor's offices that deal with that, they will constantly say, this money is not for you. Please make sure you bring it in. It wasn't for him. It was to make sure that I maintain my mental health. And he was refusing to give it to me. And kept telling me, don't worry, I'm going to pay it. It never did. Okay? And it wasn't money that was designated for him. It was designated for health care. So, I told him I took it. And I let him claim my children, and I gave him the option of taking the money, and he took the money even though the money was never his. $1,400. And really he was only entitled to about $200 of it. Because there was only a $200 check that wasn't for me. It was actually for my sister. She got her teeth pulled. That's who it was for. He stole from her. So he made people believe that I was stealing and thieving from him when I was not, and I also paid him back. Another person that was paid back, and he was not entitled to the money. Again, it was for healthcare. Which I did eventually leave because I had my daughter and I didn't have the income to pay for, because then I turned 26. I was no longer allowed on his insurance. However, I was disabled, and I asked him to put me back on because legally, if your child is disabled, then you can put that child back on the insurance. And I wanted to do that so I could get a breast pump. He didn't do it. And it took me a while to get my own insurance through the state. Because I was on disability, it changed the way that they handled my health care. So going to mental health services fell to the wayside until October 2016. Maybe even I would say October 2015. This conversation, I stopped going to therapy in March 2014, the day before I had my daughter. And then I was dropped from insurance the following month. And then some months went by and my grandmother was brought in. While I was trying to take care of her newborn, I was required to take care of my grandmother. I remember hearing a reading. The reading was specifically by Spiritual Sag. And she said that I was faking disability. Actually, it was my grandmother. My grandmother was the one that would be upstairs I had just got my daughter to sleep. She's a newborn. And she would holler, Ashley! 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 I'm like, the fuck? Can you help me? I don't know that was even fucking necessary. Now the baby's awake. One day, I was supposed to go pick my dad up from the airport. And I got in the car. I drove off. But as I was leaving, he was pulling up in a taxi. So I turned around, I went home, and I was only gone like 5 minutes. I come back, and she's downstairs by herself. Every single time she went upstairs or downstairs, she forced someone to help her to get upstairs and downstairs. And this particular day, I came back, and she was downstairs within less than 5 minutes. That was like, I want to say that was like May. By July, I was out. Because they had me waiting on her hand and foot. I was cooking, cleaning, doing everything for all of these adults. My sister lived in the house, my father lived in the house, my grandmother lived in the house. I was caring for her, waiting on her hand and foot. My father, I was cleaning up after him like I was his wife. My sister said that I have to do it because I wasn't working, but I was disabled. I was on disability, just like my grandmother. I am fake shit. Mine was for mental health. She was the one that was faking. Because y'all clearly have seen my mental health issues. I'm not in denial of it. I'm just telling you where it comes from. In fact, I'm in therapy now, again, and she recently mentioned to me that they have discovered that all mental illness has the root of trauma. And I'm trying to tell all of you that trauma is called covert emotional incest. Have a fucking good day.